welcome, welcome back. Oh, the scene switches. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the PiGosaur Monday number 9. I'm of course Show's Live VIP with me. I'm joined by these amazing players, the people in the chat, and by my plushies as well. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys just have a look at the bracket yourselves, as the bracket is live, the bracket is stacked, and we have our first series of the night. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the Polish Zerg player, the Pink Zerg, the biggest Basilisk fan in the world. It is Pi. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the American Terran player. I mean, usually he's Protoss, but it's the Terran patch, so it's Terran time. From the Americas, it is Astrea. Here we go, and if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. Get your predictions going, get your gamma going, as predictions are open in the chat. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck. As we have Astrea playing his new main race, Kappa, and of course Pi, who just came back from Home Story Cup. If you don't know, or if you are not familiar with Pi, he's a very, very passionate fan of StarCraft, biggest Basilisk fan out there, of course. But on top of that, Pi was also observing. He was the official observer, or one of the two observers, at Home Story Cup. It was Pi and Eon Blue. They were both observing. They were both, giving their services to Take TV to Home Story Cup. Is also much love here to Pi and to Eon Blue as well. Pi just recently returning to Poland, recently returning from Krefeld, and is apparently passing out. He's holding it together, Papi. Let's go. I mean, it was a long weekend. It was a very long weekend, and did put a lot of work and effort in, and now he's still competing, still playing. The passion is real. So much love to Pi. Much love. As we are going to be settling in, as we settle into our next game, also a big shout out to Tater Tutor. Thank you so much for gifting us up to Scorpion SC3 in the chat. Oh my god, that's StarCraft 3 confirmed? Maybe. I'm also clearly still recovering as well. Again, it was a very intense weekend of StarCraft. Of course, we were live every single day. We were the B stream, the official B stream of Home Story Cup for day 1, day 2, and day 3. So we had a lot of casting, a lot of hours logged over the course of the weekend. And now we are back to our regularly scheduled programming, back into the Open Cups. PiGosaur Monday, Sparkling Tuna Cups, Natural Tussle, Wardy TV Monday, etc., etc. Of course, a bit of a PSA as the first Reaper gets across the map. Does dance with the Lings, gets 1, gets 2 Lings already. Good value here by Astrea. Ideally, he wants a worker as well. Does threaten the mineral line, but Pi does pull away in time, does save the spore. He is safe and sound. So far, so good. Whew. Pi does defend. What was I getting at? Oh yeah, we have our regular events. A bit of a PSA, of course, is this weekend is another major event. We just had Home Story Cup, and the big events continue as Masters Coliseum qualifiers are this weekend. Ooh, the third base is going to be denied. The gas guys is denied. 1 drone goes down. Big delay in the third. And Astrea, he's already popping up early on with the first Reaper. He got 2 Lings, now getting a third, a 4th Ling, 1 drone, delayed third base. A lot of value so far here, some insane value with that first Reaper, and Pi is stuck on 2 bases. Third base now being taken at the triangular location, late third base. It's a little bit more exposed, but at least it gets up and running. It could be worse, right? Pi could be stuck on 2 bases. Thankfully, takes the third. Meanwhile, the Reaper isn't done. Astrea is still having fun here with this first unit of choice, dipping behind the mineral line here, going for the workers as best he can. Oh, we'll threaten the drones. And, oh no! The Queen does trap one of the drones in. Another drone goes down. The Reaper finally is forced out by the Queens, but alas, so much value, so much damage. Meanwhile, interesting, Pi did delay his gas income here. I'm curious if he plans on skipping Ling speed or going into Roaches, for example. Speaking of, yep, Roach Warren. This is what I assumed. Again, gases were delayed for Pi for good reason. The reason was no Link speed, Roaches. So it's going to be Roach aggression here out of Pi. Now, we could commit into an all-in, or this could just be a safety Roach Warren to get into the mid-game, to max out, to get into a later kind of game state here. We'll see if Pi does cut workers. Meanwhile, across the map, Astrea getting to his own build. Third TC into Starport. No add-on swap though. Interesting. So 3cc, not Banshee, 3cc into Liberator. With this, that means a much faster stim, much faster bio production here from Astrea. Is going for a more bio-heavy follow-up here from the side of our... Oh. from a Terran player. Never mind. Add-on swap with the tech lab on the factory. That I was not expecting. Oh, Lings flood in. Lings do flood into the main base. SVs going down. 1, 2 SVs already going to be falling. A full scout of the main as well. And this is a big sign of what's to come as never mind. Okay, there we go. Is a big sign of things to come as we're getting to early tank production. But again, this is just a really interesting build out of Astrea because he is delaying his own stim by quite a bit. As a result, sure, he'll have early tank production, but he's going to be stuck at home. Going to be stuck at home with his main army, I should say, his helis. They get across the map. They do wreak havoc. They get 4 more drone kills. 4 more workers falling. Just catching up. You rocked it like, oh, thank you, Tater. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm still pretty tired from the weekend. Not gonna lie, I'm very much so tired, so I'm still recovering. As that's going to be a drone. Oh my god, 8 workers going down. Astrea, calm down, Bathy. Again, just wreaking havoc, roasting up a mineral line, backing off and getting ready for that next step, getting ready for that eventual buy push. Again, as we mentioned, it is delayed because of the delayed tech lab on the racks, delayed stim here. So Astrea, he's going to be massing up his army back at home, but he's still being active with the Hellions at least. And the Hellions are doing quite a bit of damage. Pi back at home did make a few roaches here. He's trying to secure himself on his 3 bases. Is now re-droning, but he needs a 4th base. He has a lot of catching up to do. It's been a rough start here for Pi, but I want to believe that it's not impossible to bounce back. But what I was getting at earlier here, Massive Coliseum is over the weekend. I should say the qualifiers are over the weekend. The European qualifier, the North American qualifier, the Korean and Asian qualifier as well. There's like 4 or 5 qualifiers over the weekend for the main event. If you are maybe unfamiliar with what Massive Coliseum is, one, I mean, have you not been watching Cranky Ducklings? Have you not been watching WTL? But Masters Coliseum is a tournament organized by SC Boy. Those are the people behind World Team League, WTL. So if you've been watching WTL over the past couple of years, you would know that Masters Coliseum is usually an end of season event. Basically, usually after WTL ends, the top players performing in WTL get invited into Masters Coliseum. Oh, as Hellies, they do once again get into the middle line. 5 more drones go down. Oh, this is really stacking up. And the problem here is that Pi, he's forced to rebuild all these workers instead of focusing on his army and focusing on his upgrades. Speaking of, upgrades are delayed. Again, Eva Chamber, no +1 yet. Astrea, he's building up, and we spoke earlier about how Astrea, he did delay his upgrades, he did delay his stim. Stim is soon going to finish. And he's going to be moving out at around the 8 to 9 minute mark, and it's going to hit like a truck. And again, Pi is just not ready for it. He's lost too many workers over the course of this game. He is getting into Roach Hydra, a very old school kind of Heart of the Swarm composition. I mean, we do see it from time to time nowadays. I think most recently, most prevalently, Dark. Dark does embrace Roach Hydra, did embrace it in ZVT last season, especially on maps like Dynasty. We saw a lot of Roach Hydra out of Dark, but that was last season, and I mean, here comes Astrea. Astrea is pushing forward. Tanks are sieging up. Creep is being denied. Astrea's army is revealed, and Pi, can he hold on? He's going to have how much? He's going to have a handful of Ravagers, a handful of Hydras, mainly Roach-based army. 0-0 upgrades. That's my biggest concern as well, is just how well they can really shape up to this Bioforce. Even without the tank support, this move out is looking terrifying. As Astrea, he does stim in, and he will take down the base. Now, really patient play out of Pi. Does pull away, does give up on the expansion. Comes in behind, gets 1 tank. 1 tank goes down. And it looks like Pi, he will be able to clean up some of these Marines, but for the most part, Astrea, he holds his own. Yeah, he shuts down the army, shuts down the Roaches, the Hydras, the Ravagers as well. Keeps rallying, takes down the expansion, and from here he can just snowball out of control. GG, goddamn true! Goddamn Cyclones. As Astrea will take game number 1. GG. As we were getting into this game, we were joking a little bit how Astrea is playing Terran because it is the Terran patch confirmed. So Astrea, he has to play Terran now, 100%. He has because of the new Cyclone as well. Copium. For those that are curious, I should also clear this up before, at the start of the tournament, and I'll probably say this a couple of times throughout the event. Just like with Home Story Cup, we are playing with a mod, so the Cyclone is not actually impacting this tournament negatively. It is patched. Oh. It is patched here. At least it is modded out, I should emphasize. Is modded out, so there's no, insane range for those Cyclones. Likewise, the Oracle has been adapted as well. For those that are curious, in the live version of the game, both the Cyclone and the Oracle, they don't necessarily have the correct specs, the correct details to them, so they have since been fixed for the mod. That means that for Home Story Cup, that wasn't really, again, they were rectified for Home Story Cup and for all events coming forward here, as all these open cups can use the mod as well, and will use the mod. So it's one of those things where currently the Cyclone is plaguing the ladder, not tournaments. Just as a heads up. It's like we should have a disclaimer for the event. It's like, you know, events seen here are not reflected of the ladder. Like, if you want to hit the ladder, like the Cyclones they're gonna have their way with you, Pat. Ay. Be careful out there, be careful. But here we go, we're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Neon Violet Square, we have the pink Zerg player from the land of Poland. Again, he just came back from Krefeld. He was the Home Story Cup observer, and now he's rocking up and he's here playing. The passion is real. It is Pi. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the blue Terran player representing himself from the Americas. I mean, he used to be Protoss, now he is Terran, at least for this series. It is Astrea. Let's go. But getting back into it, so yeah, so Masters Coliseum, it's usually an event held at the end of the season of WTL, but for those that have not been tuning into the podcast, you may not be familiar, we did, I mean, it was announced recently, and we did go over it, the fact that WTL is on hiatus. It is on an indefinite hiatus moving forward, so there's no World Team League, there's no WTL, but at least there is still a Masters Coliseum. Instead, I think there's going to be a lot more weight on the qualifiers, because usually there are invites based on WTL performances, and now there's no WTL, but Masters Coliseum will still take place nonetheless. It is going to be a 2-month event throughout the month of December and January. We have the qualifiers this weekend, and then the group stage for the next month, and then the playoffs for the month after. So there's it's a big event. it's a big, long event that we're going to be going over for the next 2 months, and that's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every single weekend. So 3 days a week for the next 2 months is Masters Coliseum. Meanwhile, we can calm things down and settle in. Fun fact also, I should emphasize this, and I'll probably mention it a couple more times throughout the broadcast, because Masters Coliseum is going to be every weekend for the next 2 months, we will be rescheduling Sparkling Tuna Cup. Sparkling Tuna Cup is usually on Sundays, or Saturday, depending on where you are in the world, but usually on Sundays, but because of Masters Coliseum, we will be rescheduling, and this week, because of that, Sparkling Tuna Cup is on Wednesday, not on the weekend, and it's going to be on Wednesday for the next 2 months as well, at least until Masters Coliseum wraps up. So we are moving Sparkling Tuna. The tuna is being moved. Just a PSA. And again, I'll probably mention it a couple more times, just so everyone knows. But because of that, we will be having an event on Wednesday instead. On Wednesdays. But now though, calming things down. Astrea back at home going 3 CC before Starport. Once again, economic opener at Astrea. First reapers across the map will pose a threat to the natural, but welcome one and all to Neon Violet Square. Welcome to a very old map in the map pool. This map was in rotation back in 2017, so it's been over 7 years, actually. Over 7 years since it has been in the map pool, so it's been a very, very long time. Some of the big features, of course, is the pocket base. So even though Astrea is being really annoying here and is containing Pi, Pi is able to freely take a third this time. This time he is undisturbed and is able to expand. So we have the pocket base being taken. Meanwhile, we also have the pachinko machine. We have the squares here in the center of the map. These will actually be a bit of a barrier for certain size units. For example, tanks. Tanks cannot move through this. Thors can't move through this. Ultras can't move through this. I'm uncertain about Archons. I'm not uncertain if an Archon can or cannot pass through these squares. So that I'm a little bit less certain about, but depending on the size of the unit, they actually cannot pass through this, so it can make engaging out in the center of the map a little bit awkward at times. It can also impact reinforcements or impact retreating as well. If you're trying to retreat, if you're trying to escape, and if you happen to have some tanks or some larger units here on one side, then they're going to be left behind as well. So bear that in mind. Have already seen that over the course of the weekend at Home Story Cup. So a fun, nice little feature here in Neon Violet Square. Meanwhile, Pi going into early lair, very early lair, early gases as well. Are we feeling mutas? Are we feeling Aspire? We need a little bit more gas, getting up to 200, and show us that Spire. Huh. What's it gonna be? Show us what you got. Hellions threatening a dive. And where is the tech of choice? Where's the Spire? Show us the Mutas. I mean, the other option could be an Infestation Pit or even a Hydra, but there it is. Spire gets thrown down in the main. As we did mention early there, this was a 4-minute lair timing, early gases, and early Spire as a result. So 2 base Muta at a Pi. In a way, 2 base Muta. The 3rd base has yet to be saturated. And Astrea's in the dark. Astrea, it's going to be on our Terran player here to figure out what the hell is going on. I think they can pass through because those are the buff where they can pass through Tide of Pass. Yeah, I can't quite recall, specifically for the Archon, I can't quite recall. But, you know, I'm sure we'll find that out as we cast more games on Neo Violet Square. We'll get confirmation. As we do have Astrea moving out with a double drop on the right hand side. As opposed to the previous game, Stim is already done. If you recall, in the last game, Stim was delayed in favor of tank production. This time, Stim is prioritized, and as a result, Astrea has a multi-pull. He's going into multi-ring aggression. Hellions, they distract the Lings, and it comes a drop into the main, and Pi, otherwise, is distracted. He's not ready for this. Is not ready. Astrea ready for the dive. Stim is done. Mutas are on the way, but the mineral line is exposed. And he's getting the Queen. Queen goes down. Bus on in, scouts the Spires. Oh, massive moment here for Astrea. The drones, oh! The drones, there's no way out. 15, 16, 17 workers go down. The Queen and even the Spire itself. TTGG gets called, and Astrea will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the round of 16. GG. I wanted to see the Mutas. GG, well played. Congratulations, Astrea. He does pop off. He does catch a Pi with his pants down. My condolences to Pi, but I do appreciate the diversity in builds here. Game 1 going into Roach Hydra. Game 2 going into Fast Mutas. And again, I do think the build itself was well founded. Like, again, I can see Mutas working quite well on Neon Violet Square. I do see pro players looking to go into that as well in that map, similar to how they would do so on Dynasty or even on some of these, or Amphion, some of these other maps where you can be safer and more secure in 3 bases. I think the build makes sense. Unfortunately, Pi just wasn't ready in the main base. He wasn't aware of the drop reinforced, or the drop headed towards the main either. Pi was just in the dark as what was happening, and yeah, was unprepared. GG. GG, well played. With that, Astrea will take the series, and we are now getting ready for the round of 16, potentially. I mean, let's find out. Let's find out where we are and where we are headed. Exclamation mark, be in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back yourselves. Let us head on over. Whew, let's go.